Hello, guys. Good day. This is Anna of Reinforce Big Love, your fellow positive reinforcer. Today, we are going to talk about self love. Everything glows the moment you start loving yourself. You know, we're not going to be 100% every day. There are times that, we feel so down, we don't have confidence, we don't have energy. And there are days wherein we are in a hype, like we feel like we could do anything. But basically, there are some phases in our life wherein you know we felt empty, we felt out of purpose, like we don't know where we're going, what are we here for. It actually happens before we finally learn and find out what are we here for. I just want to share this to you. Way back when I was in my teenage life to early 20s, wherein my goal is to make everybody happy. I used to be people pleaser. I want to be in the group. I want to belong in the quote unquote cool group. And what is a cool group to me? You know, this is actually my personal standard. And I don't know the standards of other people, but the cool group to me is, those people who are smart, those people who got some guts to drink after the class, who smokes, who's tough enough to fight their parents. Those are my criteria for cool group. And yeah, I did became one of these people, and we had a good time. They became my good friends even up to this point, but not all of them. I do care too much of my reputation by appearing kind of perfect in front of others, by keeping myself safe and not trying anything. But I felt broken, I felt numbed. I felt like when I was younger, between that age, between teenage and early 20s, I felt like nobody loves me. I didn't discover this self love yet. I don't even know if I'm ever important. All I know is my dad was busy working for me, and I didn't even appreciate that. I started drinking when I was around 17 years of age, because that already sounds cool to me. I even told my dad that I don't like to go to school. And when he gave me an opportunity to work, to do some work as a working student, I gave up the work. I told my dad I want to go back to being a student. I'm it's not worth it. So that's also a good lesson. And I also cut class to watch movies with friends or just simply hang out. But I was just like a kind of person who is, I don't have any stand to myself. I don't have any reason to fight for, to fight for my life. The outside of my environment, I actually feel good though. I felt like I belong, quote unquote, I belong to the group because we're all the same. At least we were able to pass every level in the college years. Although some of them, they weren't able to make it. Uh, we also traveled together, me and my friends. But inside, I felt empty. I've no purpose, and I don't even have a reliable or a good job, reliable permanent job 2 years after the graduation. I just keep volunteering, and I could hardly get a job, even volunteers, because it was a global crisis way back in 2008, and we got loads of surplus nurses in the Philippines. So even simple hospital, they have tight criterias on what the nurses, the qualifications of the nurses that they're accepting. They even added height requirement which is fair enough. But most of us Asians living in the Philippines, we're actually sort of petite. We're not tall people. So, but anyway, that was just for the sake of really limit hiring because we got too much population of nurses way back in 2008. So I could hardly get a job. I volunteered. I did some master's degree, which I didn't use, which I couldn't use it here in Ireland. So that's why before you take some master's degree in the Philippines, if you're planning to work abroad, you better make sure that if you can ever use that, if it adds up to your qualification, then they could pay you for that. But otherwise, as to me, it's they have the education in Ireland is different from Philippines. So I was able to use my master's degree here. But going back to my old self, I also have lack of confidence. I felt like my dreams were out of reach. I felt frustrated. Plus, I keep failing on those English tests, and I tried studying, reviewing on NCLEX so I can able to apply in US. But once again, yeah, I could hardly get a score. I didn't have a good study habits. I don't read, years after the graduation until I decided to build a habit. But being having this kind of scarcity mindset that I'm hopeless. I have no confidence. I was broke. The only time wherein I decided to really pick up myself from the ground to get my shit together, it happened when I was in my late 20s. I was so disgusted about myself. Before I got accepted in my workplace in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, I have applied to several agencies, particularly in Manila. I went to Manila physically. I bought my own ticket there to submit my papers because we don't have that. Computer is not really that widely used that time. So I want to be physically there to show the employer as well as the agencies that I'm there. I'm interested. So after going to Manila, I didn't get any good employer. No response. And then years and years, there was an opportunity in Cebu. So it's where I got accepted. So I got disgusted about the things that I felt about the world. I began to question, why am I in this situation? Because what happened was, me and my friend, there were two of us who applied in that hospital institution, which gave us a good offer. But what happened was, he actually didn't pass. Although he's actually a good nurse. There's some kind of hindrance between the interviewer and him. He's a kind of gayish, and maybe they're not open about it that time. And I was so pissed off that I couldn't believe that this was the world. We actually came to that hotel to present ourselves to, that we are willing to serve humanity, serve the patients. We're willing to do the work, but there are some exceptions that I couldn't take. And me and my friends were both kind of broke that time. We could hardly get our money, but we're trying to really lift our self from the dipshit, from the ground, from being broke. We want something. We want to grow. So he didn't get the job, and I didn't see any reason, because we both work in the same hospital. We have the same training, and he's even softer than I. So we were both thinking that this was about the kind of sexuality issue, but I couldn't take that. and he was quite supportive to me, and his mom took care of me when I arrived in Saudi. So he was such a good friend that I felt so disgusted about what's going on. I mean, during the interview, we actually went to a four-star hotel in Cebu, Marriott Hotel. So I've watched people there, rich people, and I even asked myself, why are they, you know, why are they having loads of money? And while me, I finished a degree, then I'm still broke. I mean, what's the difference? I mean, why do we find it hard to get a job? Why are we looking for a better pay? We have a degree, but we're still broke. So I began to question myself. I got basically disgusted about my uh, negativity, frustrations, failure, and at that time, dad didn't dad couldn't trust me anymore. So whichever travel I'm going for, a job interview, it's mostly it's it, I finance myself. So by the time when I got the job, I went to Saudi Arabia. It was quite it was a good offer, and I met really fantastic friends there who became my friends up to this time. So what happened there was that I felt isolated. It was the first time that I got separated from my good old friends from college. So I didn't drink anymore. I stopped drinking alcohol. I did stop smoking, and because of stress from work, I just don't want to be inside my room. So I started challenging my weight in in the gym. We actually have free gym in our accommodation. By the way, our accommodation in Saudi Arabia was free, as well as the groceries. Everything was good before. I don't know now, and we don't even pay taxes before. So there's a huge difference now and before and now. So I develop, I started to develop good habits, particularly uh, reading habits as well as eating habits way back in 2016, a year after I went to work in Saudi. So 2016, I was 29 that time. It was quite late though. At least I found myself. So I did stop drinking, and I learned to be consistent and committed to be my own best friend and improve myself over time. I realized that by merely doing the things that I said to myself that I'm going to do, it helped me build confidence. So over time, although I went back to Philippines after 2 years working in Saudi, I went back there to beat the English test again because I want to work in the Western countries. Although I failed a couple more times, that time, every time I failed, I became angrier. Like, I'm going to still beat this. I won't give up. Not this time. I'm going to do better and better until such time that I was able to get the score. I didn't even get the perfect band 7 overall. Yeah, because as far as I know, I actually took the OET. I took IELTS 5 times, and then in the sixth test I took OET. As far as I remember, I even get a B or B plus. It's not all A. Yeah, that was equivalent to 6.5. But maybe I was just lucky that the hospital in Ireland weren't particular about in that area. That could be reading or listening. So yeah, I got hired. So since that time, I started to read more self help and investing money. Up to this time, I'm still working on the same hospital institution in Ireland, who was happy enough to sponsor me to come over here and work for them. So thank you. I'm so grateful for that. So I'm happily working here in Ireland this time, and I was able to buy my own house, and I was able to invest some of my money to where I wanted to be, and I already have a retirement plan. And I also travel 2 to 3 times a year. I can still manage to go back to see my family in the Philippines. So overall, since the day I realized that I, I was so, like, I was so dumbass that it was, after all, it was my fault all this time. It was my fault that I wasn't happy. It was my fault that I didn't pass the English test, before, within this 5 times of taking them, because I didn't do enough. It was all my fault. And I own it. I own my mistakes. And I realized that with all those frustrations, failures, and there were even employers in the Philippines who didn't hire me. But this time I finally understand. I also realized that no one will ever save you except yourself. You are your own CEO, the CEO of your life. And as long as you're alive, look, I'm telling you, shit will always happen. It could be for better or for worse, but being your own best friend, a good best friend, will make you will make you resilient over time. So, for all the hurt that I felt in the past with my old self, it was all my fault. Although I look happy, but in the inside, I felt numb. I felt like, I have no destination. I felt like I don't know what am I here for. But this time, since I prioritize myself, I love myself more, better than before, I realized that, my relationship to myself is the reflection of my relationship to other people and to all the things I'm doing here. So if I'm happy, everyone around me will be happy, and I can guarantee you that. So whatever happens, don't forget yourself. You always have yourself. Yourself is the number one person that you can count on when everything mess up. So it's important to take care of yourself, love yourself, prioritize yourself, because no one will ever love you the way you want to be loved. It's just yourself. So I hope that you've learned something from my story. I hope that this will help you a lot. And if you ever love this episode today, you can share this to your family and friends. You can follow me in YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, even in Amazon Music, Reinforce Me Club, and your fellow positive reinforcer. I do appreciate your time, and have a lovely day ahead. Few more days to Christmas. Thank you very much.